In the previous episode, we heard the evidence of witnesses into the trial of Lt Shuzi Murakami, charged with the murder of Doris van der Stratten.
The court calls for Colonel Coda.
I, Colonel Koda Miyuki, solemnly and sincerely swear in His Majesty's court to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Colonel Coda, please identify yourself to the court.
I am Colonel Koda. My last rank and role was as commander of the Western Garrison of Kuala Lumpur.
Defense Counsel, Mr. Hill.
Colonel Coda, your responsibilities included the care and provision of POWs.
Yes, sir. My responsibilities extended to oversight of the POWs at the Pudu prison.
You held many responsibilities, yet had time to take an interest in a single female civilian. This was surely outside your area of responsibility.
During and just after the fighting, the army found it was required to help and support in many areas of society. The British had destroyed much as they departed. Hospitals and railway stations had been sabotaged or destroyed. So, the Japanese army had to assume responsibility.
The army? Was Mrs. van der Stratten's health and status a matter for the army?
When she arrived in Taiping after all the other British women had fled, Taiping jail was the only place she could find her own people. She arrived with a mining engineer called Peters, and we felt she was better being cared amongst her own. The prison hospital was able to give her medicine and food to bring her strength up. It was the best and safest place for her.
So why did he send her to the convent?
Sir, I did not send her. She chose to go. The nuns could offer peace and privacy. She was one woman amongst hundreds of men. It was inappropriate that she spent too long with prisoners of war. It was correct and proper that she was looked after by civilians.
So you deny that you deliberately arranged for her to transfer from the nuns shortly after the jail had emptied, so that you could then care for her without others intervening and protecting her?
I did not.
But you thought she was British or Australian? You did not think she was Italian?
Third, I had many responsibilities. What to do with one female civilian was a fraction of a larger and bigger issues, yes? We were fighting the bandits and securing the country. I acted as I best thought, see fit. The nuns offered the best sanctuary. I was told she was an Australian widow, but I hardly noticed her.
So, Colonel Coda, why was Mrs. van der Stratten sent by army staff car from Taiping Convent to Kuala Lumpur shortly after your posting there? Did you not manipulate her stay to satisfy your predatory instincts?
I did what I thought was most beneficial for this poor lady. She had arrived at Taiping starving and sick. Her mental condition was weak. She cried and sobbed and was distraught. But we cared for her, gave her food and medicine, arranged for the nuns to minister to her. She became calm, regained her weight. Sir, I should not be criticized, but should be praised for the care and attention we gave this poor lady.
Your sense of altruism is, how shall I put it, impressive. Especially when one concludes that you benefited in order to satisfy your base instincts, to meet your needs for power and sexual occupation of your opponents. That is all from me.
Captain Banerjee.
Colonel Coda, is it true that you and Doris were close?
Doris?
I mean, Dulcima.
After a while, we became friends. She was a beautiful woman and independent.
Were you lovers?
Intercourse took place, but it was an arrangement that agreed with both parties. She provided gratification, not only in terms of intercourse, but she was also unlike any woman I have ever encountered. She was bewitching.
So, did you use pet names or terms of affection with each other?
She called me Koda-san, and I called her Chima.
Chima?
It is a play on her name, Dul Chima.
Ah, yes. Her given birth name, which was what led you to believe that she was of Italian descent, and at the time, the other two principal allies in the Axis alliance. On reflection, do you think that was why Doris adopted the name of Dulcima? To ensure that she was not classified as English and thus relegated to a prisoner of war status, but seen as an Italian, an Axis ally of Japan?
It would not surprise me. She was an intelligent woman.
Right. Did you share any official secrets with Doris? I mean, Dulcima?
No,
Oh, no pillow talk.
I told you, it was not that kind of arrangement. I told her nothing that would jeopardize my country. And by not sharing official secrets with Dulcima, would also protect her from the claims being cast upon her. That was the understanding.
Ah, thank you for clarifying, Colonel Koda. You may step down.
Now the court calls for Lieutenant Murakami.
I, Lieutenant Murakami Shuji, solemnly and sincerely swear in His Majesty's court to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Lieutenant Murakami, please identify yourself to the court, President.
I am Lieutenant Murakami, head of the Arosta Kempetei division of the Japanese military police.
Lieutenant Murakami, in your own words, tell us why Mrs. van der Straten came to be under your interrogation.
Sir, I was stationed at the Japanese army base in Arosta in North Malaya. My commander asked me to travel to Kuala Lumpur to investigate the army garrison commander, Colonel Koda. The Kempetei here, he was stealing money from government.
And when would this be?
Sir, in July 1943. When I arrived in Kuala Lumpur, I started to make my inquiries about Colonel Koda. I was told by many people that he used army funds to keep a white woman as his mistress in a big house in Penang Road. He said she was Italian, but everyone knew that she was Australian. Her husband's family, the Van der Strattens, were famous in Kuala Lumpur and lived nearby in Ceylon Road. She had lived there before the war. Many people knew this. It was known that she was not Italian, though she now used the name Dulcima to pretend to be Italian.
So you say she was a married woman?
Yes, sir. All my sources told me that she was married, but her husband was not in Kuala Lumpur. No one knew where he was.
But her husband's family was living in the city. Mother, father, brothers.
Yes, sir. So I thought, if she was an Australian woman who was the mistress of Colonel Koda, the army commander, but was pretending to be Italian, so ally of Japan, then she must be a British spy. It was my duty to investigate. That was my function, my responsibility. I had no alternative.
And this was before you investigated Colonel Koda?
No, sir. It was at the same time. But I had to be very careful. Colonel Koda, very powerful man, commander of Western Garrison. He was a famous army man. I was very fearful. My job very difficult. But I must carry out my duty, even if it is dangerous and risky to me. But I must also be very careful to treat the lady right. I cannot mistreat her because Colonel Koda protected her. Her house, grand villa with many servants, big garden with trees and flowers. There were soldiers on guard at her gate.
Lieutenant Murakami, how did she react when she was brought to the Kempetei headquarters?
She was very angry with me. She threatened to call Colonel Koda, called me fool, idiot. She said Colonel Koda would have me arrested. But I stayed patient. I did not show my anger back. I waited until she was calm. She told me she was Italian, but when I asked her to name her village in Italy, she cannot say. So I arranged with Kempetei that the driver must bring her to our headquarters in Rubber Estate building for questioning. But I do not mistreat the lady.
And when would this have been?
So I think around 30 August 1943.
And you believe that Colonel Koda and Mrs. van der Straten were lovers?
I did not know. But many people, all people, say they are. So, yes, sir, I believe they were lovers.
Was this usual? Were there other cases of Japanese officers setting up with European mistresses?
No, sir, this is the only case I know. It is not usual.
Lieutenant Murakami, what did you observe of Mrs. van der Straten?
Sir, she was beautiful. I have never seen before a woman like her. Tall, beautiful dress. She smelled of perfume. And she was also strong. When Kempetei questioned, people are frightened. They are weak. I see in their eyes. But Mrs. van der Straten, she defiant, strong, proud. I have never met a woman like this.
Mr. President, this is surely the crux of the case. This despicable man, a torturer and abuser of women, was morally culpable of Mrs. van der Straten's death, but in law was not guilty. Mrs. van der Straten took her own life after severe duress to save her lover, Colonel Koda, a man for whom, in the deep darkness of her life, offered her a rare beam of light, however manipulative and predatory he might have been in reality. Perhaps Lieutenant Murakami's treatment of Mrs. van der Straten led to her death. That she chose to leap to her death to escape Lieutenant Murakami and to protect her lover, Colonel Koda. Based on this, he could possibly be morally responsible for her death. But, as he was absent at the time of her death, away from the Lee Rubber building, legally, Lieutenant Murakami was not responsible.
Captain Hill, have you any further questions to put to Lieutenant Murakami?
That is all from me. Captain Banerjee, your witness.
Lieutenant Murakami, am I right to say that you were impressed by Mrs. van der Straten?
What do you mean?
When describing Mrs. van der Straten, you use words such as tall, beautiful, smell of perfume. It sounds to me that you found her attractive. Lieutenant Murakami, were you sexually attracted to Mrs. van der Straten? Lieutenant Murakami, you have given your word to speak the truth, the honor of your country.
I admit that she was attractive.
Aha! So you admit you found her attractive. Were you sexually attracted to her? Did you wish that Mrs. van der Straten was your mistress and not Colonel Koda's?
私は、I...
And when she refused to fall for your charms during your 3-day engagement at the Kempetei headquarters, did you feel insulted?
Yes, sir.
Which turned into anger?
Yes, sir.
And which caused you to lose your temper and throw her out the window?
No, I denied that.
Then how did she end up on the street dead?
I do not know.
You do not know? Did someone else cause Mrs. van der Straten to fall out of the window?
I do not know.
Did you see someone push Mrs. van der Straten out of the window?
I do not know.
Court President, this line of questioning.
Contrary to what has been described by your assistant, you offer remarkably little information about your interrogation of Mrs. van der Straten, suggesting to me that you are shying away from taking accountability for your actions. These actions include, in my opinion, and which I put to you, that you threw Mrs. van der Straten out the window head first.
No!
I put it to you that you were complicit in causing the death of Mrs. van der Straten by mistreatment and neglect whilst under your interrogation on or about 30th August 1943.
No! I was not there when she died!
Order. Order.
Nagao, start the recording. 今日は1943年8月31日です。Date 29 August 1943. Time 700 hours. Day 3. I begin the interrogation. Doris van der Straten, you have been brought here under suspicion of being English spy.
Ridiculous. I'm Italian. My name is Dulcima. And if I had my birth certificate or any documents with me, they would clearly provide evidence that I am Italian.
You married Mr. Philip van der Straten on 9 September 1936. Here is marriage certificate.
May I see? See? The name is as stated as my birth certificate. Dulcima Louise Grace Heath. I keep telling you, I'm Italian. I should not be subjected to this. Italy is an Axis power. Oh, you cannot keep me here.
That may be so. But forgeries are not uncommon in the world of spies. It is also common for spies to marry and discard their spouses when proven to be inconvenient.
How dare you? Philip was killed in that cowardly ambush on Kampong To. You disgust me.
In Japan, our wives would kill themselves than be taken by an enemy. You show no such remorse. You were well trained to discard a husband when becomes inconvenient and take up with another man. Mr. Philip van der Straten is alive. He is in an internment camp in Thailand. No words, Mrs. van der Straten. You think we would not find out about your husband?
Wait, no. You mean Philip is alive? Has been alive all this while? Oh, good Lord, no.
Good acting. Good spy.
You don't understand. Edward Peters, he told me he was dead. I would have stayed with him at Yala. I promised him I'd always be by his side, and I let him down. I let him down.
Good acting. Enough acting! Easy for everybody if you sign here. Confess you are English spy. We will be good to you. We treat women better than men.
Good? Good to me? You Jap pigs don't know the meaning of good. Only Koda did good for me. I was his Chima. His Chima, do you hear? You and your bloody kind are nothing but upstarts from the East who think you can come in and ruin everyone's lives at the behest of your little emperor. Ah! Oh, my face! You made me bleed, you pig!
I taught you good spy. But now I think you bakayaro, a stupid one. You dare to speak of our emperor in that tone and manner again. And next time, no whip, but fist and boot. Ask our Mr. Nagao. He's seen many people like you before. Many do not live alive. Better you start being good. Good!
That's all I ever hear from you pigs! At least Koda was honorable. He was different. He looked out for me, got me well again, protected me. He loved me.
So Colonel Koda was your lover?
Yes. No! I don't know! What was I to do? You Jap pigs invaded and caused destruction and misery to thousands of people, and for what? For your emperor, who everyone laughs at and sneers at. And no, what? No, stop!
One more time. Confess you are British spy.
I tell you, I'm not a British spy. My name, Dulcima, Italian.
Enough! You lie and lie! You are no good!
No more. I need it.
Nagao! Give chair. Maybe Doris confess now.
Please, I tell you the truth. I am not a spy. I am Dulcima, wife of Philip van der Stratten, the only man I truly loved, and who loved me.
More lies!
No! Get off me! Stop it! Bloody tyrant, you can't do this to me!
Sailor, what have we done? Remove body! Now!
Court rise. Now, under the authority of the Commander of British Forces in Malaya, I, Lieutenant Colonel Cully of the Judge Advocate General's Department, on this day, the 2nd of July, 1946, at Kuala Lumpur High Court, hereby brings this court to order. I am ready to pronounce judgment. Lieutenant Murakami, you are charged with committing a war crime. That in violation of the laws and usages of war, you did ill-treat a civilian and Australian national, Mrs. Doris van der Stratten, whilst under interrogation at the Kempetei's Kuala Lumpur headquarters on or about 30th August 1943, resulting in her death by mistreatment at your hands. I find you not guilty. Order! Order! Order in the house! Order! Order! Order!
To the surprise of many, Lieutenant Murakami was found not guilty for the death of Mrs. Doris van der Straten. After perfunctory reporting in local and Australian newspapers, more pressing news pushed Doris's sad and lonely death off the headlines, from where it was soon forgotten. Lieutenant Murakami was repatriated to Japan and never heard of again. Colonel Koda faced charges for embezzlement and general misconduct. Some reports suggested that he too was repatriated to Japan. Sam Arnau, on the other hand, found himself back in court to defend himself against charges of causing grievous bodily harm to Mr. Rajasingham. While he may have walked out a free man, it is believed he was later assassinated by the communists as punishment for his collaboration with the Japanese. Philip van der Straten emigrated to Southampton in England. He never remarried, but while in Southampton he was visited by Doris's two daughters, who journeyed from Australia to Britain to meet him, to seek a form of closure for their mother's death. Philip died of a stroke in 1960, aged 59. Records recently resurfaced show that it was Doris who initiated divorce proceedings against Richard Wall, her first husband, on the grounds of his adultery. The aspersion that Doris deserted her daughters is therefore unfounded, as the judge awarded custody of the children to Wall. Thus any claims of negligence on Doris's part are unfounded. And what of Doris van der Straten? There is no grave to mark her burial spot, and family members do not speak of her. The cause of her death has never been established, and as such, justice for Doris remains denied. The Trials of Doris van der Straten was written by Sarah Sharon. It was directed by Sabira Sheikh. Narration was by Andrew Barber. Doris van der Straten was played by Sarah Sharon. Sam Arnau by Lok Shi Hong. Lt Shuzi Murakami by Brian Cheong. Lieutenant Colonel Cully by Asfar Baginda. Captain Hill by Dominic Siddle. Philip van der Straten by Malik Taufik. Captain Banerjee by Colin Chong. Edward Peters by Malik Taufik. And Colonel Koda by Shi Hong. The audio producer was Christian Tessera of Soul Lab Records.